All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the 7Cs Compass model, a really powerful framework that's designed to bring world-class clarity to your marketing strategy.
This model was proposed way back in 1979, which is pretty incredible when you think about how forward-thinking it was. It's really a fundamental shift in thinking. It moves away from that old-school, one-way selling mindset and towards a collaborative strategy where the company, the customer, and the world they live in are all on the same strategic radar.
So how do we get our heads around this? Well, it's best to think of it in three distinct layers. We're going to start right at the center, at the core of the organization. Then we'll move outward to the tactical marketing mix. And finally, we'll look at the external forces that shape, well, everything.
All right, let's get into those first two layers, the core and the tactical mix. A huge part of this model's power comes from its inside-out approach. The idea is to build a rock-solid strategic foundation before you even start looking outward.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. Unlike a lot of older models that look at the customer first, the 7Cs puts the corporation, that's C1, right at the heart of everything. And the insight here is profound. Great marketing has to start from within. Before you can face the market, you have to ask the tough questions. Are our teams aligned? Are we operating ethically and legally? Do we really understand who we're up against? These aren't just boring corporate functions. The model argues they are the absolute bedrock of your marketing.
And this quote from Peter Drucker, it absolutely nails the mindset shift we need for the next layer. It's really the philosophical heart of the whole 7Cs model. See, marketing isn't about just pushing a product. It's about knowing your customers so deeply that your solution is such a perfect fit, it practically sells itself. Let's see how that plays out in the tactical mix. So you can see how the tactical elements really evolve here. First up, we replace product with commodity. And this isn't just about playing with words. It's a total rejection of what's called product-out thinking. That old idea that something is valuable just because your factory made it. No. A commodity is something that's co-created with your consumers to solve their actual problems.
Next, price gets a major upgrade to cost. Think about it. Price is just the number on the tag, but cost? That's the total sacrifice a consumer makes. What's their time worth? How much effort does it take to learn your product? What about the cost of conscience, how they feel about its environmental or social impact? A truly strategic model has to account for all of it.
Then, promotion becomes communication. And this is a huge one. Promotion is a monologue. It's just shouting a message at people. Communication, on the other hand, is a dialogue. It's a genuine two-way exchange. Just think about how the best brands use social media, not just to advertise, but to listen, to engage, and to build a real community. That right there is C4 in action.
And finally, place is expanded to channel. Place is just a static location, like a shelf in a store. But channel, that's about the entire dynamic flow of goods. It's your omni-channel strategy, your logistics. It's about making sure your commodity is available seamlessly, wherever and whenever your consumer decides they need it.
Okay, so we've built our foundation from the inside out. Now we need to look at the world around us, those big, uncontrollable forces that every single company has to navigate. The 7Cs gives us a compass to help us do that strategically.
The first external needle, C6, points directly at the consumer, and it's mapped out with 4 cardinal directions. You've got N for their fundamental needs, W for their specific wants, E for education, which is your role in informing them, and, so critically in today's world, S for security. This covers everything from physical safety to data privacy and that general peace of mind that only comes from trusting a brand.
The second needle, C7, points to the big picture, the external circumstances. And again, 4 directions. N for the national and international political and legal landscape, E for the economic climate, S for all those social and cultural shifts, and finally W for weather. And this was so ahead of its time. It directly addresses things like climate change, sustainability, and the physical world we operate in.
So we've got all the pieces on the board. Now for the most important part, how do we actually use this thing? How do we turn this powerful theory into an actionable strategy?
Using the model really boils down to a clear 4-step process. First things first, audit your core. Get your own house C1 in order. Second, map the compass. You have to systematically scan all those consumer and environmental factors. Third, you got to embrace co-creation in your product development. And finally, listen very closely to security and weather. Right now, these 2 factors are massive drivers of trust and can give you a real competitive edge.
But be careful. There are a few classic mistakes people make when they try to implement this. First, they slide back into that old promotion mindset. You have to remember, communication is a two-way street. Second, they ignore the symbiotic part and start to exploit the consumer or the environment. The model's power is in working together. And finally, they treat the compass like a static map. It's not. It's a living tool, and your strategy has to be constantly updated as the world changes.
Okay, let's make this tangible. We're going to look at a real-world example of how this model can create a serious competitive advantage, and we'll look at it in the complex world of agrobusiness.
This is a fantastic example of the model in motion. You can see how leading agrobusiness firms are using each piece to innovate. They align their corporation with ESG standards to get funding, they use blockchain to create a fully traceable commodity from farm to fork, they address consumer security by being transparent about their carbon footprint, and they tackle the weather circumstance head-on, using AI to manage climate risks. It's a perfect illustration.
And here it is. If the model is the map, then this matrix is your step-by-step playbook. It connects every single component of the model to a concrete consultant-level action step. So for C4, communication, the strategic factor is sharing of meaning, which leads to the action of implementing two-way social media strategies. For C6, the consumer, the factor is security and education, and the action is to build trust through transparency. This matrix is what turns the 7 C's from a model you understand into a strategy you can actually execute.
At the end of the day, that's what this is all about. The real power of the 7 C's compass model is its ability to just give you focus. In a world that is incredibly complex, this model gives marketers a tool to navigate, to understand, and most importantly, to act. And as this quote says, that kind of clarity, well, that's the ultimate strategic advantage.